Hello everybody, my name is Sam K and I'd like to welcome you guys back to Tuesdays with K. Now today, I'm going to be comparing these two guys. It's going to be part of a bigger series comparing AKG's Perception lineup versus Audio-Technica's 20 series lineup. Now on the right here, I have the AKG P120. On the left here, I have the Audio-Technica AT2020. Now, first of all, let's actually talk about the history of both these microphones. The P120 is actually a successor to the popular P100 lineup. The Audio-Technica AT2020, I can't confirm this, but I believe the 20 series lineup is a successor to the 30 series lineup that happened during the 90s. Now let's really quick talk about some of the specs. Both these microphones are listed as having a frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz. The P120 has a sensitivity of negative 32.5 decibels at, I believe, 24 megavolts. Yes, 24 megavolts. The Audio-Technica AT2020 has a sensitivity of negative 37 decibels at 14.1 megavolts. The P120 has a signal-to-noise ratio of 75 decibels, while the AT2020 has a signal-to-noise ratio of 74 decibels. Now, the P120 it actually has a negative 20 decibel attenuation pad, so while its max SPL is only 130, it has 20 extra decibels of headroom, making it 150 max SPL. The AT2020 has 144 max SPL. And lastly, the self-noise of the P120 is negative 19 decibels A-weighted, and the AT2020 is negative 20 decibels A-weighted. There is another difference. The P120 has a 2/3 capsule, 2/3 inch. I believe it's 17 millimeters, I can't remember. While the Audio-Technica has a slightly smaller one at 16 millimeters. I also want to talk about the build quality. Both these microphones feel absolutely fantastic. All metal bodies, metal mesh grills. However, the P120 does feel significantly heavier. And not only that, the grill does look a lot more sturdy. Whereas I think that if I put enough pressure, I could probably dent the AT2020's grill. Now, let's talk about one of the most interesting things is that the P120 actually has a high-pass filter. So if you want to be able to not engage the proximity effect, you can do this on this microphone. You cannot on this one. So let's go ahead and just go through my gamut of tests here to see which one does better. So I'm going to go ahead and do a pop test on both, and I'm actually going to speak right down the middle of them, firstly to see if they're able to reject off-axis plosives, which is very important, and then I will speak directly at them. And I won't do my harsher test that's saved for the actual reviews themselves. So pop goes weasel, pippity pop, seashells by seashore. So pop goes weasel, pippity pop, seashells by seashore. Pop goes weasel, pippity pop, seashells by seashore. Pop goes weasel, pippity pop, seashells by seashore. So one last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just breathe and let you guys listen to see how well each of them does against rejecting wind noise. So the AT2020 first, silent breath, then a little bit louder. P120. I think the P120 did just a tad bit better than that one. Okay, so let's talk about what comes in the box for each of these. So both of these microphones are actually going to come with a hard mount stand that you can use to mount them up to a boom arm. However, this is not really the greatest thing in the world, of course. Now, there is one noticeable difference between the two, and I'll get to that. But the other thing that the Audio-Technica AT2020 comes with is a zippered pouch, where the P120 does not. The P120 does come inside of a nice box, but no zippered pouch to store the microphone. Now, there is one thing I have to make note of. The AT2020 does have a variant. It is the AT2020 Vision, which is this guy right here. The AT2020 Vision actually comes with a shock mount made by Audio-Technica that usually comes with their Audio-Technica's AT2035s. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do a polar pattern test on both of these, on the P120 first, then the AT2020 next. So I'm not going to spin them around talking to the front, talking to the back, talking to the top, all that kind of crap. All I'm going to do is talk into the front, the back, the sides, and the other side. I'm now talking into the front of the AKG P120. I'm now talking into the side of the AKG P120. Talking into the other side of the 120. Talking into the back of the 120. Talking into the front of the Audio-Technica AT2020. Talking into the side of the AT2020. Talking into the other side of the AT2020. Talking into the back of the AT2020. So that gives you guys an idea of how the off-axis rejection and coloration sounds. So let's go ahead and jump on to the other test, which is I'm going to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard it picks up. Now, I can't really do that in this current setup. Can I? Well, yes, actually I can. I do have a keyboard that is ready to go. I have it set up in my lap, and it is on the insensitive side of both microphones. I'm going to actually rotate them to the front so that we can see how well they do in the most perfect scenario, the exact off-axis sensitivity. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just talk into both microphones and just go nuts on this keyboard and just see how much of my voice versus how much keyboard noise it's picking up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just talk into both microphones and just go nuts on this keyboard and just see how much of my voice versus how much keyboard noise it's picking up. Now pressing on the WSD key, the spacebar, the R key, and not clicking the mouse this time because it's in my lap, but this will give you guys an idea of how much of your voice versus how much the keyboard picks up if you were to play a video game. Now pressing on the WSD key, the spacebar, the R key, and not clicking the mouse this time because it's in my lap, but this will give you guys an idea of how much of your voice versus how much the keyboard picks up if you were to play a video game. But I did want to tap on the mic bodies to see how it deals with the bumps and if there's any resonant frequencies in each of them. I think the Audio-Technica did a little bit better in that one. Alright, and lastly, let's hear the self noise. %, 50%, 75%, and 100%. %, 50%, 75%, and 100%. All right, and the winner is the P120. Now let's talk about why for a second. So first of all, this breaks my heart. I love my Audio-Technica AT2020. It sounds magnificent overall. Now, this resolution comes down to a couple of points. One is the price. The P120 is $90, while the AT2020 is $100. Now, this does commonly go on sale for like $80 to $90, but if we're talking about MSRP, there is a $10 differential. Secondly, this does have max SPL that is a lot higher thanks to that negative 20 decibel attenuation switch, It also has a bass roll-off. So if you need, for whatever reason, to eat the microphone and don't want to engage the proximity effect, then you will be able to do that on this microphone. Not only that, the specs overall are just better. The sensitivity is a little bit better. The signal-to-noise ratio is 1 decibel better, as is the self-noise. And overall, the frequency response graph is more neutral on this. Now, that doesn't mean that this microphone is perfect. I noticed that the low end is a little boomy, a little muddy. It can get a little out of control and a little hard to understand. It is very noticeable if you don't have the high pass filter engaged and you get on top of the microphone. So I'm going to demonstrate it. So right now I am on top of the P120 without the high pass filter engaged, and this is what it sounds like. I am talking a lot quieter to not clip it out. So there you go. It gets a real muddy, real boomy. It's not bodied. The AT2020 does have a very nice low end to it. It's very noticeable and very boosty, and oomph is there. This has a more nasally sound that comes out of it in its mid-tones, which at the same time they also sound a little scooped, which is hard to understand. But both of their mids are roughly equal. Their high end is where it really gets harsh. This microphone has the Audio-Technica sound, and unfortunately it doesn't have the hardware to support the Audio-Technica sound, because the high end sounds a little artificial. This has a pretty nice smooth high end. It can get a little piercing at times, and it can be a little sibilant because that boost in the high frequencies does go all the way up to positive 10 decibels, if I'm not mistaken, if not just right below that, which can be a little harsh and fatiguing. But overall, it does have a more neutral, natural sound signature to it, which makes it easier to mess with in post to get it to sound exactly how you want. And additionally, a lot of audiobook people who want to have a very neutral sound to their voice will pick up this microphone before the Audio-Technica AT2020. Now, do I think this is perfect in every single use case application? No. The P120 does very good at what it does. It'd be good for a audiobook who wanted to have a more neutral and natural sound, or had a longer session, because the sound will be less fatiguing overall, because the upper frequencies aren't as artificial sounding. They are sharp and pierce and will fatigue after a while, but less so than the Audio-Technica AT2020. Now, for singers, I think this would actually be a really bad microphone, because the upper end is very sharp and piercing and does not sound but doesn't sound articulate. It's a little gritty. Where the Audio-Technica AT2020, one thing with the Audio-Technica sound is that it has a lot of articulation to it. It's never gritty. It does sound artificial and a little sibilant. But whenever you're putting this into a mix and you're with a bass and all that kind of stuff, it's going to cut through that mix like freaking butter. I'm not in the music world myself. Banjo would be better to look into that. But based on my limited knowledge of the music world, this would be how I would perceive it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode there. So yeah. Don't let that dissuade you from getting an Audio-Technica AT2020. It's a great microphone. It's become an industry standard for a reason. And don't let that dissuade you from getting a P120. The P120 might not be an industry standard at this point, but it is still a great microphone overall. You guys see, I've won it. And AKG, you ain't done yet. So the next on the Perception lineup is the 220. The next on the 20 lineup is the 2035, which is my favorite Audio-Technica microphone ever made. So I'm going to go ahead and end the episode there, guys. I want to thank everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give it a big thumbs up. You want to see more, make sure to subscribe. Check out some content created, including links at the end of this video. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.